Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, so today we're unpacking what is basically a high-stakes geopolitical tech thriller playing out between the US government and an AI company that literally just flipped global cybersecurity on its head. We're looking at a crazy story involving national defense, totally unprecedented government actions, and a frontier artificial intelligence that has completely rewritten the rules of digital warfare.
Let's just dive right in. The standoff started with a firm line drawn in the sand. Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, found his company in a really unique position. Even though Anthropic's AI models were already deeply integrated into the US intelligence community and military for things like cyber defense, Amodei completely refused to give the Pentagon unrestricted access to their tech. His argument? Well, defending the country against adversaries shouldn't mean we sacrifice our democratic values in the process.
Anthropic insisted on two very specific exceptions to protect those values. They made it crystal clear. Their AI could absolutely not be used for domestic mass surveillance, and there was no way it could be used for fully autonomous lethal weapons. Weapons that can fire without a human actually being in the loop. But the Pentagon? They demanded all lawful use, which, to be fair, is their standard clause for defense contracts. When negotiations stalled out, the military didn't budge. They issued a strict 3-day ultimatum for Anthropic to comply.
Well, when Anthropic held their ground on those ethical guardrails, the Pentagon escalated things dramatically. They slapped Anthropic with a supply chain risk designation. Guys, this is an unprecedented and highly punitive move against an American company. Historically, this kind of weapon is reserved for foreign adversaries or suspected state-linked actors. Think Russian cybersecurity firms like Kaspersky Labs. It essentially means that any private company with a military contract is totally barred from using Anthropic's products anywhere near those contracts.
You can imagine, the political fallout was incredibly swift. The administration ordered all federal agencies to completely cut ties. The defense secretary even publicly blasted Anthropic's leadership. Now, to their credit, Anthropic partially committed to maintaining service for a 6 to 12-month continuity period, just so the military wouldn't be left vulnerable during the transition. Meanwhile, the lawyers swooped in, and messy federal court battles began over whether the government overstepped its legal authority. Honestly, at this point, it looked like Anthropic was being exiled from the federal government for good.
The plot twist? Enter Mythos.
Right as the government was slamming the door, Anthropic dropped an absolute bombshell. In early April, they unveiled Mythos Preview, a new flagship model that changes the whole game. Instead of releasing it to the public, they quietly placed it in a highly restricted program called Project Glasswing. Now, 17. That is exactly how many years a remote code execution bug successfully hid inside FreeBSD, which is a major, widely used open-source operating system. Human security researchers missed it, automated tools missed it, for nearly 2 decades. Mythos, on the other hand, autonomously discovered the zero-day vulnerability and wrote a working exploit to gain root internet access overnight, literally overnight, with zero human involvement after the initial prompt.
To really put this massive step change into perspective, let's look at the SWE Bench Pro scores. It's an elite software engineering test. Anthropic's previous best model, Opus 4.6, scored about 53%. Mythos completely crushes its predecessor, jumping up to nearly 78%. This isn't just some minor software update. We're talking about a fundamental leap in an AI's ability to reason, code, and autonomously chain together vulnerabilities into working exploits. And hey, it's not just Anthropic tooting their own horn here. Independent academic and systems engineering analyses confirm that Mythos is a total system-level disruptor. Researchers are saying this AI fundamentally accelerates the timeline for critical security overhauls. Take post-quantum cryptography migration, for example. That's a process expected to take massive enterprises up to 15 years to manually handle. AI models like Mythos, they can compress that massive timeline down to just 2 to 4 years by automating the discovery of vulnerabilities across millions of lines of code. The UK AI Security Institute backed this up too. They independently verified that Mythos is the very first model to successfully complete end-to-end corporate network attack simulations. On their grueling 32-step attack range, Mythos succeeded all by itself. On expert-level capture the flag tasks, it hit a 73% success rate. The AI isn't just finding bugs anymore, it's acting like a highly trained, elite human hacker.
The government's dilemma.
Talk about an awkward position, right? This breakthrough created an immediate, glaring dilemma. The very same Pentagon that just labeled Anthropic as supply chain risk suddenly realized they desperately needed the exact technology they outlawed. I mean, if foreign adversaries get this capability first, US critical infrastructure is sitting completely exposed. The sequence of events here is wild. Look at this rapid reversal. Early 2026, the ban hits. April 7th, Mythos drops. By mid-April, realizing the sheer power of this thing, the White House quietly starts drafting an executive memo to bypass the Pentagon's ban to get Anthropic back in. But then, late April, the White House actually blocks Anthropic from rolling the model out to the civilian sector.
So why block the expansion? Well, comparing Anthropic's rollout plan with what the White House actually did explains a lot. Anthropic wanted to expand Project Glasswing from about 50 up to 120 critical civilian organizations. We're talking major banks and tech infrastructure providers, so they could patch their own networks. But the White House stepped in and capped it. They cited national security concerns, sure, but practically speaking, it was a lack of computing power. The government was terrified Anthropic didn't have enough server capacity to serve those private companies without degrading the NSA's own ability to use Mythos.
Basically, what we're witnessing is the administration trying to monopolize this technology. As the editorial team at Towards AI noted, this is a whole new era in the AI arms race. The U.S. government wants to maintain a strategic edge over foreign adversaries by hoarding access to Mythos for its own operations, while simultaneously starving those adversaries of the GPU chips they'd need to train an equivalent model.
What this means for you.
So how does a clash between Silicon Valley billionaires and Pentagon generals actually affect us, the everyday people? It's easy to think this is just high-level political drama, but the downstream effects are going to hit all of us right in our hometowns. The reality is that the under-audited software running your daily life is in real danger right now. Your local hospital scheduling software, your regional bank, the systems managing your city's water supply, these run on older open-source code that was never worth a human hacker's time to manually exploit. But today, the cost of executing expert-level cyber attacks has plummeted to pretty much zero. An AI like Mythos can just run an overnight job and find zero-day exploits in these local systems. The bottleneck? It's no longer finding the bugs. It's whether our local, underfunded institutions can patch them before an automated AI weaponizes them.
But wait, we've got to circle back to the very reason Anthropic started this standoff in the first place: your privacy. Anthropic refused to let their models be used for domestic mass surveillance. And here's why that is absolutely crucial. It's currently perfectly legal for the government to buy massive amounts of personal data from private data brokers: your location, your purchases, your affiliations. In the past, it was just too much raw data for humans to analyze effectively. But today, using an AI like Mythos, the government could technically build highly detailed automated profiles of millions of citizens in seconds. The technology has just completely outpaced our legal privacy protections.
Which leaves us staring down a massive societal dilemma. As AI literally learns to hack itself and the lines between private tech companies and national defense blur into nothing, who gets to hold the keys? Do we trust private, unelected tech CEOs to set the ethical guardrails for our national security? Or do we trust a federal government that demands unrestricted access to tools capable of mass surveillance and automated warfare? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. See you next time.